Hey, what's up, y'all? Said Entertainer. I'm asking y'all to check out the Loveology podcast. This is weekly.
I could go on and on about that.
Right. And me and my wife, both
this
of
for your
us veterans.
podcast, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hey, man, so,
When we talk about unconditional respect or unconditional love, we are not talking about the fact that the person deserves it. We are talking about respectfully confronting his unloving behavior. We are talking about lovingly confronting her disrespectful behavior. It is about who God has called us to be, not about who that person fails to be. The way it plays itself out is that a wife respectfully confronts things about her husband that she doesn't find respectable, and the husband lovingly addresses things about his wife that he doesn't find are very lovable. Again, it's about how God called me to be in the way that I deliver the message. This is what this is about, okay? We're not talking about respecting things that are not respectable. We are not talking about loving things that are not lovable. He said, I hope you can understand that, because this is the key when we talk about unconditional love and respect. So basically, it just goes back to communication.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about for the women, which can be kind of difficult for us sometimes. And what he says in the book, too, is that we have learned to fight with our words, right? And some women...
What do you mean by that?
Sometimes women say mean and very hurtful things.
Oh, fight with your words, like you're fighting.
Yes.
Yes, because naturally, for majority of women, physically, men are stronger.
Right.
Right.
And then some women are under the impression, because you are so big and strong, right?
That we big and strong mentally as well.
Emotionally.
Emotionally, we can handle that.
Yeah. Like we don't feel like that you guys like this. We don't understand that hurts.
And sometimes that can hurt worse than a physical punch
for you. Yeah,
for us. Yeah.
I mean, it does for women. Like women, we don't want to be talked down to either, right? And some men are very guilty of that, right? But a lot of times women can say very cutting things. The words, just
that can
use the
last
words.
some decades. Jesus.
And you think that
silver-tongued devils. Just joking, y'all.
So this is what it's about. It boils down back to communication, which is the key, and acting and speaking and confronting each other in a very loving way, in a very respectful way. And, also, of course, treating each other with respect too. Right. But for like I said, for the most part, sometimes when women confront men, sometimes they can say some very mean things. And I think, again, in the back of their mind, they think, oh, he can handle it. It's not okay to say certain things.
Right.
You should just do to him what you would like for somebody to do to you.
Right.
So if you wouldn't want somebody to, say that, you're lazy.
Sorry, no good.
Yeah.
Ain't worth a nickel.
Yeah, this is not fair. Like, we need to change this. Like, it's not fair to call people names and to like talk harshly to them.
Right. Right.
You don't want to be talked harshly to. So you shouldn't talk harshly to anybody else.
Exactly.
But that's basically what he's saying. And he's saying that, because men and women are different, we communicate different and we hear differently too. So, I mean, this just happens anyway. Like, between the same sexes, sometimes when somebody says something, you hear it differently or interpret it differently than what it actually is.
Right.
So it definitely happens between men and women all the time.
Well, it's all about getting the understanding or the what they say the preconception of what you're saying, right? A word is just a verbalized thought, right? It's just a verbalized idea. So if you, that's why I think it's easier for people from the same places to get with each other. And have lasting relationships because their thought process are similar, right? They come from the same similar backgrounds and all that good stuff. So that's the preconceived thought into a word. So my thing is, so if you're from a different, different place than I am, well, a word represents what you think. But what if y'all foundationally think differently? Right. So that word can actually mean two different things. You see what I'm saying? And that's when you have a misconception or a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? So you really gotta, words are very powerful, but especially the English language, the words can mean differently. So you got to really get an understanding on what do they mean by that. So even if you hear a cutting word, right, men, right, we got to be strong enough to handle, even if you hear that cutting word, let's get an understanding. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because maybe it wasn't meant to be cutting.
Right.
Like, maybe it just wasn't, right?
Right.
So
kind of like the whole like and always and never and all that good stuff.
Well, I agree with, now I've turned a new leaf, and I disagree that you shouldn't say those sort of words.
But to get that habit out of your significant other's mouth, right? You have to get an understanding on what they mean, and they have to get an understanding of how that makes you feel, right? And then y'all can easily come to a conclusion that, you know what, we don't even have to use that word. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what me and Ashley did. And communication, I love communication. It sounds so simple, and people think they understand communication, but communication is deep, man. And and I always say it always starts with listening. That's how can you communicate if you can't hear what the other person gave you, right?